Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Epic Gangsta Tales. Today we got a very interesting episode that touches close to home and is a topic that a lot of people can relate and probably angers a lot of people too. We're going to touch on some sensitive areas today. We're going to take it back to Boston, the early to mid 90s in the highly acclaimed E13 district of the Boston Police Department, and the one of the many stories that came out of that gaggle of corruption and just really dirty, scummy shit. But as I said, the E13 district in Boston, to be precise, which covers the Boston neighborhoods of Roslindale, Hyde Park, and parts of Jamaica Plain, as well as parts of West Roxbury. Today's tale focuses on how dirty and corrupt the Boston Police Departments in the Boston streets were, in general, back in the early to mid-90s. Jason Trimmins did an excellent episode on the story of Detective Mulligan. Like he said, they did a Netflix documentary on it, Trial 4. Crazy story. We got a lot of the same cops. A different story today, but a lot of those same disgraced cops. But like I said, Jason Trimmins, another, Massachusetts, New England area content creator. He's great. I highly suggest you go check out that video. My boy kills it. So, congrats to him. That was a really good video. But back to the story. Some of those same dirty cops involved in another dirty case that included cover-ups, people being framed and wrongfully incarcerated. Back in 1995, Boston resident James Lucien was convicted for first-degree murder based on part in testimony and bogus evidence from a member of a gang of corrupt Boston cops. This case includes disgraced Boston cops John Brazel, Kenneth Acera, Walter Robinson, and Detective John Mulligan. These guys were scumbags. They were all part of District E13 and robbed and shook down drug dealers in the area, and gangsters traded, there was pimps that would trade their street girls, hey, let me sell a little bit of drugs, let me pimp, these girls out, and, Becky Sue over here will go around the corner and take care of you. There was a lot of that stuff going on, that cops were accosting street workers, picking them up, hey, I won't take you to jail, you can do what you want to do, but hey, and Detective John Mulligan was especially known for that. In fact, if you watch that, they say, initially they thought that, because his pants were down, that he was getting, when he was murdered in his police vehicle, that was initially a theory, later proved to be wrong. But anyways, like I said, they shook down drug dealers, gangsters, hookers, pimps, and traded favors, all top line police work, back in, circa 1990s Boston. The incident is as follows. Lucien, now 50 years old, was a passenger in the rear seat of a car outside of a McDonald's in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston on June 25th, 1994. When driver Ryan Edwards was shot and killed while in the driver's seat. And, Boston police came on scene. There was like 3 passengers in the car. Lucien was in the back seat. And, with a dying declaration, Edwards told the BPD that someone outside the vehicle shot him. And, that was who killed him. He died. That was covered up, thrown, it wasn't found until later on. These guys suppressed a bunch of evidence in the case. And, but according to James Lucien's lawsuit against BPD, Lucien, a friend of the deceased Edwards, was convicted of murder and armed robbery as well as illegal possession of a firearm, enlarged based on evidence and testimony from disgraced, corrupt Detective John Brazel, who later got immunity from testifying against fellow corrupt officers, including pal Kenneth Acera and Walter Robinson. and Detective John Mulligan, who got smoked in his car at a Roxbury Walgreens as he slept in his car in 1993. And like I said, see the Jason Trimmins video for that on Detective John Mulligan to get that whole story. He nails it. A lot of these similar scumbags in the story that wore badges, unfortunately, Sarah and Robinson eventually pleaded guilty to federal corruption charges and got 3 years in prison. In 2021, James Lucien filed his third motion for a new trial. This time, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office agreed with him, and the judge granted him a new trial on the murder and armed robbery charges. Basically, he was in the car, he had a gun on him. Obviously they were around that type of stuff. He wasn't an innocent angel, but they turned it into a inside job, like he killed and robbed his friend when really they were all just in the car. He had a gun on him, but his friend just happened to get killed by a different gang member, and it came out that they had evidence on who this guy possibly could have been, and they just didn't care. Maybe he paid them off, maybe he was on the take, but there was just so much corruption going on in Boston at that time, especially in this particular area. It's insane, and this is a crazy story. He sat in prison from 1993, all the way up. I'll get to it. The judge granted him a new trial on the murder and armed robbery charges. The DA's office then formally dropped those charges in 2023. The DA's office went through a similar process to drop the illegal gun possession charge. The dismissal of those charges means that James Lucien has been exonerated on the armed robbery and murder charges of his friend. He witnessed his friend get killed right in front of him in the same car, and this man spent from 1993 to 2023 in prison, in the worst prisons in Massachusetts, up Shirley Max, Walpole, all those. He did the rounds, and I'm not going to get into it because that's his personal stuff, but it looked like he had a rough time. You get what I'm saying? Just a crazy story. I'm glad they let the guy out, you know what I mean? And he, let me get back into the story. I'm getting a little off track here. It's just, this stuff definitely touches me deeply, you know what I mean? Like, nobody likes to see somebody wrongfully convicted of something, but then to spend that, you essentially, 2/3 of this man's life away, you know what I mean? Like, so at the same time, at least make it right and do what you can to right a wrong, and boy, was there a lot of wrong going on back in Boston at that time. It's nuts. But like I said, James Lucien has been exonerated after being in prison from 1993 till 2023 on bogus charges by crooked Boston cops. James Lucien last week sued the state for the maximum $1 million wrongful imprisonment suit, and I wish him the best. I hope he gets it. He damn well should get it. You get what I mean? And like I said, go check out Jason Trimmins. He it was hard to follow, you know what I mean? Like, he really nailed the Detective John Mulligan story, and there's a lot of similarities in this story and that story with crooked cops, just another guy getting screwed over, another black guy in Boston getting screwed over, back in the early to mid 90s, you can see City on a Hill to see, they do a good job at showing how corrupt and they essentially started becoming the guys they were chasing. Cops start that, code of silence, and they're more worried about covering for their pal than doing the right thing. It just brings a whole lot of confusion and, the corruption. It just seems to never end. You know what I mean? But I wish him the best of luck. This is definitely a cautionary tale. Some people, you just don't even want to bring them in your orbit, man. They will, they don't care. They'll ruin your life and do it with a smirk on their face, and they don't care if they're right. They don't care. They just care. The DA just cares about, making that nut and getting those convictions and you know what I mean? Like, so don't fall victim to that machine, because it will just, chew you up, spit you out. And, the least they can do is give this guy $1 million for the shit that, 93 to 2023 on something you didn't do, and, like I said, he did the tour of the worst prisons in Massachusetts, man. Maximum security lockdown. So I wish James Lucien the best of luck. I mean, if there was someone who definitely deserved that, it's that man, So best of luck to you, sir. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'll see you guys same time next week. I hope you have a good weekend. It's good to be back. Take care, guys.